Hi, this is Clint Penwell, and I'm the author of The War of the Angel Lovers, The Clash Between Light and Darkness. This is a true story. This is a story for the spiritually open-minded, the 144, and chosens on their path. I hope it brings light to the challenges that you might face. It is my testimony. The prologue, a story of a man who survived a family of evil witches, a large coven described as a church, who were willing to kill to ensure this story couldn't be told. It involved all levels of city government, the U.S. government, and an evil family who was committed to stealing a large inheritance, only to be confronted and defeated by an awakened earth angel, sent to destroy them from the mighty Lord himself. Good versus evil, plus an epic spiritual battle that changed the course of many lives, including my own. Part 1. When Angels Meet. As part of my job as an emergency services chief, I was planning and trying to make the most of my new fire team. I had many plans to practice firefighting scenarios around our industrial site. The job was new to me, and I was ready to make a great impression. The only part that was missing was the integration of the medical services team to create a fast reaction force able to cover fire, hazmat, and medical emergencies. Then I was informed about the arrival of a new nurse at the site. The current nurse did not want to align our team, so I thought, great, maybe this new nurse will be in alignment to create this awesome new team. I saw the new nurse a couple of times in the hallway at work and said hello. I let a few weeks go by and decided to talk to her about my vision for the emergency services team. I went to her office and she was nice and cordial. We had a great conversation and I asked her if she'd like to come and see our fire team train next week. She said yes, and I replied, great, thank you. The training was taking place and I told her I was hoping to combine our teams to provide our site as a single response team. She agreed and said she would really like to do it. We developed a really good friendship and the mutual respect was amazing. The months went by and we started to have lunch together to discuss our mutual success by integrating our teams. Our friendship was amazing and one day we kissed, and that was the day two unawakened earth angels found each other. The fact that we were both unawakened means that we didn't even know. Our bond was fluid and amazing, and I thought this worked out so great. Our relationship was a break in a sometimes mundane job. She made me happy and I believe it was mutual. Little did I know it was a divine spiritual partnership. The spark between us was fun and strong. I thought we just got along great. We worked together on many projects and became a couple. As a couple, we shared cute dates and talked about the future. I could never have believed the sinister truth about our paths crossing. It seemed so innocent and sweet, but our journey together would reveal many shocking truths. Many in our inner circle would be opposed to our happiness and future plans. It seemed Sam and Vivian just seemed too happy for our crew. I thought it was simple jealousy or envy, although it would turn out to be something much, much darker. Part 2. The Good Times. The time just flew when we were together, and we said travel would be the biggest thing on our list. So I thought, what would be a great place to visit? We had good jobs at this point, a lot of vacation time. We said Italy would be an awesome place to visit. So we set our sights on a trip to Italy and Rome, being the primary travel spot. I was really starting to love her so much. We loved each other very much. Our date arrived for the trip fairly quickly, and we were packed and ready to go. A quick stop at LAX and we were ready to fly. The airports went without a hitch, and the next thing you know, we were checking into our hotel room. What a lucky guy. A dream vacation, a beautiful girl. I thought, this is the life. The next trip we decided to go on was to Iceland because it was so different. We said, wow, look at the landscapes and waterfalls. We got a writing pad out and started mapping things out. I secretly thought, what a great place to ask her to marry me. I mean, we had been together for a while now and I trusted and respected her a lot. We once again laid out the details and planned the trip. We were great at airport navigating and getting to our destinations. It was really amazing to land in Iceland. The Atlantic Ocean was such a dark navy blue compared to light-colored Pacific Ocean I was used to seeing. We landed, rented our car, and drove to our rental Airbnb. It was cute and cozy, and the week we spent in Iceland was filled with great experiences. One of those great experiences was seeing the black sand beaches. Another sight that was really amazing was a large geyser at the local national park. It was really easy traveling with Vivian, and I really had fallen in love with her. Prior to leaving for our trip, I brought an engagement ring to propose to her at our next location. It's called Goldfoss, and it is the Icelandic version of the Niagara Falls. We got to the edge of the waterfall, and I got on one knee and asked Vivian, "Will you marry me?" She said yes, and we had the most beautiful trip. Our feelings and love for each other had never been deeper. We got back home, and we were in such a good place. As a couple, we just made some great memories. Part 3. The difficulties begin. By this time, we had been together for years. One of the things I had began noticing is that Vivian had issues with anxiety. Also, that she could really like to fight, nitpick, and argue. I'm a pretty chill guy, and I thought it was just her being a little pushy and sometimes mean. I've always said, if you can't handle your woman at her worst, you don't deserve her at her best. That saying would come back to bite me later on. One of the most difficult things that we dealt with was her ex-husband and her teenage daughter. She told me her ex-husband was a narcissist, and their divorce was ugly. She constantly brought up issues with him and the custody of her daughter, who incidentally wasn't exactly warming up to me. I tried to reassure her that would all work out. Also, that I understood how teenage daughters could be, and with time, I'm sure we could get along just fine. I think the engagement was threatening to her daughter, so I tried to be understanding and supportive towards her. I think Vivian appreciated that about me. Another issue for me was that it seemed like Vivian's boundaries didn't exist or were very relaxed compared to mine. She said it was due to our different cultures, and our culture was very open to having close male friends. Things that included lunch dates, guys stopping by the office, and work husbands. My beautiful Caucasian fiance and this Latin man were about to learn just how difficult our culture clash would become. She said she's always been that way and wasn't going to change. I told her I didn't agree with her at all, and it took away from our relationship. It was sporadic fighting, on and off, over the same subjects: ex, daughter, random boundary love issues, with a wonderful love mixed just to balance it all out. Something I also noticed was Vivian's always closed the closet door prior to coming to bed. One day I asked her, "Why do you close the closet door every night?" She said she felt something was in there and felt better with it closed. I told her I would bless the closet and God would protect us. I was an ordained minister and my faith was strong. Little did I know just how deep my spirituality truly went. Part 4. What religion are you? When we got together and talked religion, I told her I was a Christian and she stated she was a Lutheran. At one point, I placed a cross on the bedroom wall, and she asked, "Are you going to leave that on the wall?" I said, "Of course. It's my power station, and I pray daily." I thought that was odd and asked her, "Doesn't the Lutheran religion have crosses?" She said no. She didn't like to see Jesus suffer on the cross. We agreed the cross would stay, and we didn't talk much more about it. I noticed that she would talk about being worried or stressed. I told her, if you work on building your faith to the Lord, your prayers will be stronger than your worries or stress, and your renewed faith would make them minimize or disappear. She was always open to religious discussion, although I never saw her with a Bible. I was curious of her beliefs, and I asked her if we could go to her church. She said sure, but they don't have any crosses or statues there. I told her that was fine, and I was open to all avenues of spirituality. We went to her church that Sunday morning, and as she stated, no crosses or statues. They were praying and people singing, and all seemed familiar, except for the large bush on the wall. I was seated and staring at this large bush and thinking, does this represent the burning bush? Vivian seemed to be enjoying the sermon, So we stayed and soaked it all in. After the sermon was over, I asked her about the bush. She said she didn't know and was wondering about that also. We just laughed it off and went to lunch. I still had questions about her spirituality, but we were getting along good at the time, so I concentrated on that and not the concerns I was feeling. Although there was a red flag that I noticed, it was her daughter was always watching dark and morbid shows. The first 48 ghost stories, murder shows. I asked Vivian if she thought that was healthy for a young teen girl. She said she's just living vicariously from those shows. My concern was she would get depressed from all that doom and gloom. A few days later I brought it up. She was no longer watching them, but rather watching much lighter reality shows. A curious shift from her daughter, and one made without a word spoken. Part 5. Never invested. One of the curious things about our relationship was financially Vivian and I did not share a banking account. She had gotten so ripped off in her last marriage that she was hesitant to let someone have access to her funds again. I could understand that, although I thought it was uncomfortable to, or I should say unfortunate, for our relationship. One of the biggest projects I had ever undertaken was to fund and create an entrepreneurial business. I had invented a product and believed it was both practical and needed. I had asked Vivian if she would help to model the product and take some pictures so I could market them. She answered, maybe you should get a younger model to help you with that. She never offered her help physically, emotionally, but did criticize aspects of the product along the way. I was doing great when I met Vivian, working on 2 retirements and an entrepreneurial project. I just retired early from my manufacturing career to concentrate on my military career and entrepreneurial endeavors. The plan was I would use the retirement money to produce success with my project. I had shared my plans with Vivian, and she was excited to push forward together, although she never offered any type of financial support or financial assistance for the project. She just didn't seem invested in the project, and that was saddening to me. As I look back, I see many opportunities she could have assisted and never volunteered any investment of time or money. Vivian made great money as a nurse and could have invested something for good measure and support. I was starting to see that I would create and climb this mountain by myself, and she'd be waiting there patiently in the winner's circle for the race she didn't run. I was starting to believe she was only in it for the win. My finances started to get strained, and I realized I'd better get a job to ensure the boat stays afloat. As for the first time in my life, I was having a bad run at getting a job. I didn't understand why. I was trained and experienced for many different prospects. I never had trouble finding work, and it was very discouraging. I wrote endless resumes to apply for many occupations, and many seemed to go off to oblivion, never to be seen from again. Vivian was pretty discounting of the situation, told her it perplexes me, and I told her it perplexes me. I did find and work some jobs with some pay and status that left much to be desired. I remained gracious for the opportunity. Even at my lowest point, she didn't offer much in emotional or financial support. I thought, my God, help me to get through this drought. We would fight and argue over the new money challenges we were facing. It was the lowest point in my life. I stayed with my faith and prayed to God for strength and clarity on my journey. This once prosperous man was now financially struggling to survive. I was completely unaware of the dark secrets Vivian was keeping from me. Part 6. Mean to incorrigible. One of the things that was very important to me in any relationship is to maintain a certain level of respect and caring. Myself and Vivian are now reaching a point where the baseline is getting rocked by yelling and very hurtful words. It seems how low can you go is the target. She was my best friend and my sweet lover. How did we sink to such a low point? A new red flag that I noticed was she was going on business trips a week at a time. This wasn't new, but the amount of work just began to grow, and she wasn't very transparent about the details. She also started spending time with her friends on the holidays, or we had a fight over her daughter, etc., right before the holidays. So I spent a few alone, and I did not like that at all. Time to reveal the inner circle, at least the one I was aware of. She had 2 lady friends, Andrea and Tricia. She was always going with their advice, and sometimes it was far from good advice. We had a few couples we hung around, but they were definitely her friends. Andrea was her best friend, and she took her advice always. Sometimes it was not in my best interest, and it would cause a rift between us. I truly thought Andrea was jealous of our union and tried to put tension between us. For years, we spent the holidays together and had some good times, although I always felt a tinge of envy coming from Andrea and her husband Bob. They had like a 14-year age difference and didn't vibe like me and Vivian did, as far as us getting along. One time we were at a party celebrating Bob's birthday, and I told Bob to look at Vivian's finger as I had just brought her a new engagement ring. I could see the angst and envy in Bob's face. He spread the news around the party to everyone. Later that evening, after the party was over, Vivian got a call from Andrea saying that Bob was going to get her a new, bigger ring. I told Vivian that's envy and jealousy, and real friends would be happy for you, not competing with you. They were starting to show their true colors. Our inner circle was not working for us, as Tricia was now about to lay a bombshell on Vivian's lap. Tricia and I would play racquetball together at our housing complex, and Vivian was just learning about the game. She'd normally leave after 2 games, and me and Tricia would have a very competitive third game. We did this for months until one day Vivian was upset with me, and told me Tricia said I made a play on her. This was an absolute lie, but Tricia was sticking to it. It hurt Vivian very much, and I told her she's lying. A year later, Tricia said she lied and was very sorry, to the both of us, but the damage was done. I no longer cared to hang around this crew, and Vivian was upset. I didn't want to associate with them anymore. I considered them poison, and they brought more bad than good. My relationship with her daughter withered away too, as she was way too narcissistic like her dad. So the inner circle shrunk away, and our relationship was getting to be a dark mess. The core of who we were is being swept away with a lot of external opinions and chatter. I prayed for better days. And stay tuned for part 2 coming soon. Thank you for listening.